Sige, coach. Sige, okay na yung 1 hour.
We're going live on YouTube in 10 seconds, and then I'll broadcast it live. Coach, I'm a friend of your sons. Si Gob.
I know. Nag-research na rin ako, pare.
Joey Guillermo, nawawala ka. Mag-start na tayo.
I saw you, Coach Ariel. I saw you coaching, Blackwater ba yun? Blackwater ka ba?
Phoenix.
Phoenix. Sorry, Phoenix.
Then ngayon, nasa Blackwater na po ako. I'm also a friend of, Oliver Gan.
Oliver, yeah, correct.
Yeah, common friend.
My resource person, si Gabriel Manotoc, my son.
Good friend.
Partner niya parati sa golf si Oliver.
Ako partner niya pag kailangan niya ng mataas na handicap yung kapartner.
Mataas na handicap.
So we're letting the attendees in, Rick, ha?
Go.
Pero we're live on YouTube already. So
marami sa mga kaibigan nating media. Alam na nila.
So YouTube sila nanonood.
Poet Season is watching. Ignacio D. Bert Ramirez is watching also.
Si Joey, hindi ko kilala. Saan ka nagtatrabaho, Joey?
Joey is with Phil Oil Flying Bee.
He's the one with Phil Oil. Okay. So hindi siya press?
No, ako lang, sir.
Ikaw lang?
Yes, sir.
Pero naalala ka ni Musong, eh.
Yeah.
Coach, kamusta? Golf mo dyan?
Okay naman. Nakalaro na kami a few weeks ago. Ang mga kalaro ko may grandchildren.
Wow. Galing.
Masyado na magaling yung anak ko. hindi na ako sa class niya. So, yung mga grandchildren na inumpisahan ko. Anak ni TJ actually, yung isa.
Okay.
Yung isa, he's 9. Naloko sa golf. Sinabi niya sa akin, golf's gonna be my sport, Lolo. I'll also play basketball, but golf is going to be my sport.
Nakakatuwa. Ba kayo sa US, Coach?
San Francisco.
Frisco. Okay. Ang dami ko rin mga kaibigan niya.
Dito nag-aaral yung anak ko. This is his 4th year already, si Gabriel. And
okay.
He's in the golf team, no?
Di ba? Nasa golf team.
Hindi ko lang pinagmamalaki. He got a 100% scholarship. He's doing so well.
Well, anong school?
Academy of Arts. It's in the city.
Wow.
Rare. It's a rare school. School.
Alam ko kasi yung daughter ko was trying to go there din. Pero sa Santa Clara siya magkano.
Yeah, it's a rarity that you can find a school in the middle of the city, no? And ang galing. I mean, talagang nakachamba kami. And after chamba nga because linibot ko na yung buong LA, San Diego. Of course, I wanted San Diego, no? But we tried San Francisco because Yvette, the mother, graduated here.
Okay.
It's a small school out.
How's the school situation ba?
Well, puro online sila.
Online muna.
Tsaka katatapos lang last week. He got straight A's. Ang galing. I mean, he's really done so well. It's a very good school. It's a very, very good school. The academic, iba naman ng it's like an art school.
Yes,
and you choose between advertising is very, very good. Architecture is very, very good. So hindi masyadong business-oriented, So it actually develops personality. Because he does TV programs, he did a biography on his golf. So ang ganda ng pagka
how much is the tuition?
Hindi ko alam.
Madugo di ba?
Libre siya.
Pala?
No, it's the usual around 20
a year. Okay. Yeah.
It's the usual. Hindi mura, hindi naman mahal.
Hindi rin yung mahal na mahal, di ba?
Hindi yung mahal.
Parang parang Santa Clara.
Because actually, their clientele are mostly Asians. Because wala silang SATs. You can come in purely on a TOEFL test, English, no? So, ang daming mga Japanese, Chinese.
So, yeah.
Daming, and then, it's so nice because you live in the city, no? And San Francisco is one of the most...
I think that's the best city in the US. Para sa akin,
I will. It's to me between London and San Francisco, But the familiarity, that we have here, it's like a home away from home.
Kasi ano eh.
Ang dami mong Pilipino
Mga,
kaibigan.
kasi baka Daily City naman sila. So close to.
Correct. No, mostly because I play golf in Daly City, So
Kaya
it's
foggy daw kasi marami nagluluto ng ng sinain.
Coach Ariel, are we live on YouTube?
Sige. Yeah, we're live. We're live. So, Rick, you can start na.
All right. Good afternoon, Philippines. Good evening, USA. This is a special edition of Usapang Basketball. Our very, very special guest is an elusive person. I've been trying to get him to do this for some time through his son and my good friend TJ MANOTOC. This man is a 6-time PBA winner. He, if I am not mistaken, is the first man to win multiple championships. To win championships with multiple teams. And this man broke the stranglehold of Crispa and Toyota in the PBA. But more than his feats on the hard court as a coach, he is also a very well-known golfer. And I don't know much about golf, but this man who I'm about to introduce will talk more about that also. In fact, he just came from a golf game with his family. So without further ado, the great Tommy MANOTOC. Good evening, sir.
Hey.
Good evening. Nice to hear Filipinos. Medyo matagal na rin ang lockdown.
Oo. Pero coach, kumusta? I understand that you've been playing a lot of golf. Saan kayo nag-golf this afternoon, And how was it?
Okay naman. It's been a bit liberal here, in San Francisco. It's supposed to be a lockdown, but they're very free. You're free to go anywhere, really. Just avoid crowds. Wala lang yung mga restaurant, and the golf courses opened about 3 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. They allowed golfers already. Ang dami na nagreklamong matatanda.
Pero how is it over there? I understand in certain parts of the US it's bad, but how is it in San Francisco?
Yeah, here in the city itself is not bad. No, I mean we have one of the lowest rates. It just got a little bad in the Mexican area, where yung mga patong-patong ng konti, doon dati nakatira si TJ. So I know the area very well. Doon medyo tumama, but overall, the city itself is doing very well, very, very well.
Well, it's good to see you and good to hear from you and to know that your family is safe and healthy.
Missing the Philippines, though. Waiting to get the flight back.
All right. So while we're waiting for that to happen, this is Usapang Basketball from Phil Oil Flying V Sports for Coach Ariel Vanguardia and Joy Guillermo. Ako po si Rick Olivares. Magandang hapon, Pilipinas. Magandang gabi, USA. Coach Tommy, as I understand it, when you played in the NCAA for Coach Tito Eduque, tama Coach?
Yeah.
Is there any? Go, Coach. Sorry.
Good. My first 2 years in college, I played NCAA, but I played also for the juniors NCAA in my last year in high school, and 2 years ako dun sa NCAA. Pero nung last year ko, I was the captain ball sa juniors. Pero na kami, we were facing out to Green Hills, So we only had two classes, So we did well. And then my two brothers were under Tito, Eduque. So obviously I had a spot, because of my name, not because of my basketball prowess. Because I had two very illustrious brothers, who did very well, Dini, the eldest, and Billy. Of course, Billy was eventually made the Philippine team,
That's right.
Played the Asian Games and all that. So they were two very tough acts to follow. So I was always the third boy in the family.
Right. Did you play for any of LaSalle's NCAA winning teams under Tito Eduque?
No, I didn't. Okay. Our only claim to fame was beating Ateneo. And we promised we will shave our head if we didn't beat Ateneo. And Ateneo had Cleophas, Samson. It was a very memorable game actually, because Tito was coaching Ismael still then. And nung natalo ang Ismael, nagpakalbos na ng lahat. So parang he challenged us, And gago naman yung mga kaibigan ko, sila Ray Bautista, sila Ding Division. Sige pare, ganun tayo, pakakalbo, ang haba ng buhok namin. Because we were exempted kami sa NROTC. No? Pagka nasa basketball ka, exempted ka. So it was not only a thrilling win, but we kept our hair.
Okay, Coach, was it a natural progression for you to go into coaching after you hung up your playing sneakers?
Not at all. Not at all. I stopped playing basketball after my second year, no? Because I was already in the Philippine national golf team. No? And golf has always been my first love. No? I mean, above everything else, above my other wives, golf will always prevail, no? As far as I'm concerned. No? And I played basketball for Tito for 2 years, and I felt my golf was progressing. No? And when you become a junior in college, you have afternoon classes. So I had the time to play golf in the morning. So I furthered my because I was already in the Philippine team to begin with. I played the Philippine team when I was fourth year high school. And golf was really my passion at the end of the day. And I really wanted to be a golf pro. No? That was sort of my ambition. Basketball was just a carryover of the MANOTOC brothers. and trying to prevail there would be very difficult, no, at this point.
So what prompted the return to basketball?
The love of the game, of course, no, watching all my brothers play, watching the games, and then started when we were third year high school. See Dr. J, Andy Howe, who I grew up with from grade school to high school. No, we started analyzing games, no, watching because Lasal malapit sa Rizal Memorial, no, so manunood kami ng basketball, bleachers lang kami noon. Or we would sneak in other sports also, football, baseball, pinapanood namin. So dalawa kaming maglalakwatsa, imbis na bilyar, manunood kami ng sports, no? So that sort of started our what you call analysis, no, of games, of coaches, and we would do it as fun.
So how did you find yourself coaching UTEX at the time in the PBA?
Accident.
Accidental coach.
I was working for a trading firm based in Hong Kong, selling cotton, raw cotton basically, which is the essential of a textile mill, no? And ang bumibili ng bulak dati were not the purchasing agents, no? Not the purchasing department, but really the top level owners, no? Since it involves millions, no, and you book ahead, no. So when I started working for this company, naging kliyente ko yung UTEX, and of course Crispa. So that sort of goes a step ahead. So they were my business clients basically. No?
I see.
And doon ako nabuhay basically. No, I didn't rely on my parents. I married early. I was able to sustain my family and build a house, no, based on that, very quietly though, because it was a company based in Hong Kong, no. So and then they had the basketball team. UTEX had the basketball team, no, under I think it was Mumar, the Fox.
Yeah.
And as usual in any team, they were having problems and ganito. So they would ask me, and I would give them my comments, no, about the games, about the this and that, no. And it came to a point that the owner himself said, "Can you help us?" So after all the help they've been giving me, buying cotton from me and all that, so how could I say no, no? But I actually enjoyed it, no. We would watch every game and all that. So can you help us? I said, well, okay, I'll see what I can do. Can you become the manager of the team? So I started as manager and and got into the fray. It was not easy because they had Mumar resigned already, no. So I had to get a coach, no. So I got Bernardo.
Yeah, Narciso Bernardo. That's right.
So,
in fact, you had an interesting history. I think after you eventually replaced Mr. Bernardo, And then later on, nagpalit din kayo sa Crispa, tama?
I took him as my assistant coach in Crispa.
That's right. But before we talk about that, Coach, no, very interesting how UTEX boogied into the conversation between Toyota and Crispa. Can you take us back? What were you, from your vantage point as coach of UTEX, what were you seeing in the PBA, the stranglehold of Toyota and Crispa?
Well, it was difficult to break because most of the players actually end up in Crispa and Toyota. If you're a good player, you end up in Crispa and Toyota, no? Especially a Filipino player. No? So you would not dream of playing for a UTEX. But the PBA started a rule then that they to balance out, they were giving imports to the lower teams to make games more interesting. No? And that's what started to make the league a bit more competitive. No? In that sense, no? In that sense, that attracted other teams into the PBA. No? So that sort of gave us a chance. But what I started actually in UTEX really was, I was telling the players from the beginning, no, that hindi tayo mananalo kung gagawin natin yung ginagawa ng kalaban, which is purely offense, no. And I said the only way for us to compete, no, is to keep the score down, play defensive. So to be able to do that, though, we have to strengthen our physical resistance, no, because defense requires more than offense, no? So we have to defend as a team, not as an individual. Kasi nung araw, pag magaling kang defensa, like Fitch Gaston was a good defender, you put him to the best offensive player, no? It's the times of Ocampo with Chingdong pa, parang one-on-one lang in Egypt nila, no? So I told them that we have to look at it as a team, no? Team defense ang importante sa atin. No? But as I said, we all have to be in shape. So I started the physical. One of the first, I hired my high school coach, si Freddy Gonzalez. I don't know if he's still alive. He was in Chicago. And we started physical training. Talagang running 12 miles, you know. I mean, really stronger, I don't know. So yung matirang matibay, you know. So I put them in shape, basically. Which most of then, nung araw, wala eh. Wala. Very little. Very, very little. Very, very little.
Oo, kasi from my understanding, some of the players, they would even smoke pa between breaks. Eh.
Oh,
diba? They didn't take, they didn't take training seriously, or maybe they did, but may mga bisyo.
Walang training. I mean, ang practice is a little jogging, round robin, then jump ball na. Ganon. Ganon talaga nung araw, no? And it's hard because they really relied on skills, no? Which we were really very skilled. The Filipino basketball player is very skilled, no? So they can rely on their skill and get away with it, basically. No? And that's how the game was played back then. No?
Coach, how did you I know that you and Dr. J were analyzing the game from afar. I would like to ask, and a lot of people would like to know, where did you get your inspiration? What did you get from Tito Eduque, from other coaches? And of course, how did you come up with your own, no?
Well, as I said, we were analyzing Tito Eduque when he was coaching Ismael Steele, no? All along, no? When we were still in high school. And we were analyzing coaches, no? Like even then, when I would watch a basketball game, I would pretend I was coaching both teams.
Wow.
It's like a chess game, you know. You're watching what's the next move, no? So Andy and I Dr. J and I were already in that level, no? Kay sinong ipapasok niya ngayon, anong play ang tatawagan niya, sinong papalitan nito, ganito. So we were not only watching for fun, but we were already in the analysis stage, no? At that level, we were like third year high school. So naging passion, no? Naging passion, and every time I would watch. Parang ganun. Up to today, no? When I watch an NBA game, I pretend I'm coaching both teams to try to analyze and to call. It's like, ano bang gagawin nito ngayon? Sino ipapasok nito? Para bang ganun? Anong play ang itatawag nito? So it became parang natural, no? In that sense, no? In that sense. And Dr. J was very good. No? Magaling si Andy.
So I guess a lot of this you also brought into your being a columnist, because you the way you write your columns, it's with a very analytical eye.
Correct. I try to go much deeper, basically, and within bounds, of course, no. And that's why I started writing a column, basically, within, as I said, within bounds, to be able to give a different perspective on a certain situation.
Okay. I guess Toyota fans don't want to know this. I was a Toyota fan. I have to be very honest with you. And I think Coach
So I
Ariel,
got you both ways. I got you
Yes.
both ways.
Coach Ariel also Toyota.
Ouch. Ouch, coach.
Coach, can you take us?
Yeah.
We want to know from your vantage point at the time when you broke millions of Toyota hearts. No, can you take us to that game? What were you talking? What were you telling your players? Sila Fritz, the great Lee Meng Beng. What were you telling them at the time? No, especially those crucial last 16 seconds. Ano nangyari? Take us through that, Coach.
Well, before we came out for that game, I sort of gave them you give your speech as a coach, for the last game. And I remember I said, what am I going to tell these guys? This is about historic if we do win. So the first thing I told them was, I want you to walk out there and enjoy this moment. Because as far as I'm concerned, you are champions. Nobody expected us to reach this level. So go out there, give it your 200%. Let's enjoy the moment. That's part of golf. In golf, you go out and play a tournament. You're not sure you're going to win, but you enjoy the moment, you enjoy the shot, you enjoy the situation, basically. And that's the challenge that every golfer faces in all levels, basically. So up to now, I'm senior, I'm super senior. I still go to that level of enjoyment, of preparing. But when I go out for the tournament, eto na, enjoy na lang ako, because you've done so much, and that's what I wanted to instill in them, to take away the pressure, that this is not all or nothing. We've done our job. You've trained well. You've done well, and of course, I have to give credit to my two imports. It's very rare that to have an import who has played NBA and really played NBA. I mean, Glenn McDonald played for the Boston Celtics, but Aaron James was a starting five for the New Orleans Jazz, together with Pete Maravich. He played starting five. So his wealth of experience, kung minsan hindi pa ako kumikilos, alam na niya kung anong gagawin ko. And we got along so well in that sense, that he knew most of the plays I would run for this guy, for that guy. And they helped a lot. From Dr. J down to AJ on the floor. Glenn McDonald, of course, who trained with the Boston Celtics. He played a crucial game once. And it's funny how up to this day, one of my kids went to school in LA. We would always visit Glenn. And he just retired a few years ago. And we kept our relationship all the way. And I would always see him. We would visit him in his house. I even brought my son when he was a baby, who the ayah of my son took care of his son in UTEX when his wife gave birth. So it was a very, very lasting and meaningful friendship. Up to now, up to today. My son who studied in LA would visit him every weekend. And he's starting to play golf now finally, and his knees are about giving in, but he's still doing it.
Coach, last
So I was very lucky to have those two. I mean, I don't want to claim all the credit, but to have the experience of NBA players, is something else, especially in tough situations.
Pero even so, Coach, you're down 16 seconds to go. Toyota was up, and they even had ball possession. What were you telling your players at that point? And by all rights, tapos na yun eh.
Yeah, actually, yes. Percentage-wise, medyo tapos na. But I said, don't give up. That was always my fighting motto. Don't give up. We double team. We wait for the pass. Make the pass go to the open court, basically. And I said, the one who will go is Glenn. Because Glenn was faster than Aaron James. Mabigat na si Aaron James. So I said, the one who will go for the interception will be Glenn. And he starts off below. So we leave somebody open on top, and then Glenn goes. So then it just so happened that I think, in fairness to Toyota, they thought they had it won, which ordinarily you do with 4 points and 16 seconds. But the golfing gods, the basketball gods, I think, favored us there. That it's a rarity. It's a rarity in basketball, no? Especially at those levels, no, playing a very caliber team, no, with very seasoned players. And
I thought, Coach, at the time watching it happen, I was a very young boy. I thought it was the great bank heist of the PBA. In fact, when I saw Larry Bird steal that inbound pass of Isaiah Thomas and he passed it to a cutting Dennis Johnson, I got reminded of the UTEX win.
Yeah.
And except for the fact I didn't root for the Pistons, I was rooting for the Celtics then. So, ayun. Coach, that was your first. Talk about winning those championships with UTEX. And really, again, as I said earlier, you put yourself in that conversation between Dante Silverio, Baby Dalupan, Crispa, Toyota. What were your thoughts and feelings then, Coach?
Well, Toyota was, an achievement that we felt that we did a lot. No, when we beat Crispa, medyo masakit sa akin dahil kliyente ko. But I remember we came close to beating Crispa once, the first time, and we were second. I had Snake Jones as my import, no? And we came in second. Then the next time we beat them, no? with Glenn. No? And it was sort of fulfilling, no? That I was able to me, it's not winning, it's delivering a message, no? Of leaving something behind, no? That it can be done, no? It can be done through hard work, through discipline, and through defense, basically. Because if you remember then, our basketball then in the 80s was purely offensive, you know? If you watch all the old films, talagang 120, 130, puro shoot.
Oh, well, shoot.
And that was always my frustration. Kami ni Dr. J, no? So yung intramurals na ginagawa namin doon sa basketball sa Lasal, dinala namin doon, no? So I said, magdepensa tayo. Let's teach defense, basically, no? And it is not only one-man defense, it is team defense. It's helping out each other. Pressure the ball, overplay the receiver, weak side help, the basics of good team defense, basically.
Right. Coach, if I may ask,
which we did not have then, no? Very few teams had it then, no? It was just one-on-one defense. Yun ang nangyayari.
Right.
Coach, who did you who was your mentor as a coach? So who did you copy your defensive philosophy, or how did you put it?
Well,
how were you able to put it?
I was watching a lot of not only NBA games but college games. College US games. And there you see team defense because pwede pang zoning nung araw, no? I mean, most of the college games nung araw were zoning, you know. So you could see the complexities of guarding not the ball, but guarding the pass, guarding the shooter, how they prepared for it, no? And this is where mahirap dahil, as I said, sa Pilipinas, walang dumidepensa nung araw, no? It was purely one-on-one defense, no? Pagka magaling na shooter, sisipain, puro one-on-one na lang, no? And the concept of team defense I adopted really came from the States, no? Which from the college ball, no? From the college ball. The NBA nung araw, hindi pwede kasi yung zoning, puro one-on-one.
Illegal defense.
When Jabbar came in, when the big guys came in, puro loob ng loob. Low post, puro low post, no? Until recently lang, they allowed the zoning, no? A certain amount of zoning in the NBA. That's why the team defense now is so much better than what it was before. Before, you could not double team a man without the ball. Sa NBA, no? Nung panahon nung nanonood kami, ganun yun, no? But in college, hindi. Because they allowed zoning. And most of the college teams were playing zone.
Yes.
So that's where I picked up all these defensive motions, basically, and tried to instill it on them. Like I remember when our big guys fouled out, Fritz Gaston came to me and said, "Coach, akin si Fernandez." I said, "Hindi mo kaya yan." Pero sabi ni Jimmy Noblesada sa akin, "Coach, ako ang tutulong." Because meron kaming help defense, no? Automatic. And then Boggs is on the other side guarding 2 people for the outside shot, no? So, yun ang parang it came natural na to them, no? Na in effect, sabi nga ni Fritz, I will just delay him. I will delay him on. Tapos darating si Jimmy Noblisada from the weak side. And then Boggs goes to the weak side. Ganun na kami nun. But it's coming from them, not from me. So that's where the gratifying effect, of what you've tried to teach them so far, no, was already there. Nagkakaling na sa kanila. So parang ganun. So Beng was outside guarding the guard. Maglolopo sila kay Mon dahil wala ang tumatao lang. Alam na namin kung saan pupunta. Ang tumatao lang si Fritz, hindi ba? So hihingin ni Mon yung bola. So doon pupunta yung bola. So automatic na darating na si Jimmy, no, from the weak side. And then Boggs would guard the 2 outside guys, no, basically. And it came from Sam Benners. It didn't come from me.
Coach
Just
Tommy,
go ahead.
Coach,
Trix.
Coach Ariel, go.
Just from listening to you, Coach, I recognize how close you are with your players, with your relationship with players. Kaya maganda yung rapport mo with your players. That's why yung mga sistema na bubuo mo with them. So I think that's maganda yung sa mga coaches na nakikinig sa atin or nanonood sa atin, na magandang advice yan yung how you build relationship with your players.
Respect has to, correct, Coach Ariel. It has to come both ways. It has to come both ways. You have to respect the player and understand the player and what makes him tick. And if you make him tick, then his respect for you will go to a higher level. It is not merely because you are the boss, but he should love the boss. He should enjoy playing for the boss. It's not because I said they will follow, but it's because they believe in what you are preaching. That's when you become effective. That's when you become effective. You can study all the books, all the basketball books, but if you don't know how to impart it in a way that they will accept it and understand, you are not doing your job. And it will not be effective in that sense, in other words.
Right.
Excellent point, Coach. And you're hearing it from a Grand Slam coach, everyone. So,
before we talk about that Grand Slam, no, nakausap ko si Fritz Gaston, Coach Tommy, no, and he was saying that in his first year coaching Ateneo, when he returned to Ateneo after working, he said that yung pinapatakbo mo sila, yung pinapatay mo sila sa takbo and conditioning, he brought that mindset and that attitude towards the Blue Eagles. And in 1988, no, and they won a championship. And I asked him, Coach San, then he said, I got it also from Coach Tommy. And sabi na, Rick, siguro you watched that game against Toyota, so you know how we played. And how we played then is how I want Ateneo to play. Ganyan siya. So that was a great compliment coming from your former player, Coach.
And Fritz was my pioneer. He was the first one, because I would make them run a 6-minute miles, no? So every day every 6-minute miles yun. And he was the only, in the beginning, he was the only one who could do it. Siya talagang nagpursiging, considering he had supposedly a broken knee and all that people washed him out. But he really got in shape. He really got in shape, and he saw it. It's you only see it at the end. You only recognize what all your hard work will be merited. No, I'm glad we won a championship with him. No, but he was one of my hardest workers, si Fritz Gaston, and he deserves, considering against all odds. Dahil nung araw, pag na-knee injury ka, wala na. Hindi ka na pinapansin. No? And I was very lucky. I was very, very lucky with Fritz, actually, because si Dr. Rivera, si Tony Rivera, had just come from the States. And he had just done a lot of knee operations then. And he operated on Fritz because mahilig sa sports talaga si Tony, and eventually became one of our fans in UTEX. He would come for every game. We got personally very, very close to Tony I would play tennis with him. Singles pa kami yan sa hospital niya. And he was the one who told me, kunin mo si Fritz, Tommy, I guarantee you pwede pa yan. Because all of us were skeptical, di ba? May tama na sa tuhod, wala na, balot-balot na yan and all that. But he told me, pwede pa yan si Fritz. And another guy, Bogs Adornado.
Isa pa yun.
Oo.
We have to mention Bogs.
Alam mo talagang pag titignan mo yung UTEX team ni Coach Tommy, the comeback kids sila. The comeback, diba? In so many ways.
Washed out, traded. I mean, parang wala na eh. Because talaga nung araw, you cannot blame them naman, the coaches, you know. Because pag tinawa ka ng tuhod, wala ka na. I mean, mabagal ka na, hindi ka na makaka-recover, hindi ka na makaka-train. And same thing, Tony operated on Bogs and told me, Tommy, pwede pa yan. So when we finally won, I had to look up to him in the stands, and thank you, because he gave me two players which were not in my mind. Na hindi mo maiisip sa rotation, Of course, Lim Embeng. It was Lim Embeng. Lim Embeng gave me his heart and soul and his body. May he rest in peace. Because we were both from the same school, but we had
Mike Bilbao too.
We had the bond that that lasted till his death.
I see. Coach, in between, before your tama ba? Correct me if I'm wrong. Before you got the job at Crispa, you were with San Miguel, correct, Coach?
Yeah.
And you led San Miguel to a championship. Was that their first championship?
No. I'm not sure. I think no. They had won before.
Okay. So what
they hadn't won in a long time. Yeah.
What was it like helping lead another team to a championship?
Iba naman yung San Miguel. That was corporate world basketball.
Corporate world basketball.
Yung UTEX was friendly, Maski anong gusto kong gawin, magagawa ko. Parang you are blessed with the power and whatever, Whatever.
Maraming ganyan ngayon din, Coach. Corporate.
They use the right word, Coach.
Yes. Well, maraming makakapulot niyan. Corporate basketball. Ikaw lang pauso. Paano ko yan? Paano ko yan, Coach? Ano natin yan? Papapatent natin yan.
UTEX was really, it's a rarity that you will be able to have that much power, that much backing, that much money. I wasn't paid, by the way, for UTEX. No, I did not charge them for coaching.
Really? Wow.
I did not charge.
Throughout your whole career there, not one centavo.
No, not at all. Of course, they would give me a bonus, at the end, Of course, which was the same in Crispa. When I coached Crispa, I did not charge them also. But of course, Mr. Danny,
kasi hindi mo naman kailangan, Coach.
Mr. Danny gave me a Mercedes, which I gave to my dad. So,
Coach, hindi mo daw kailangan, kaya hindi ka na binayaran.
But, iba na rin pare yung kasing, at least, let's put it this way, hindi ka hawak, Di ba? You're not dependent on them for the living,
Wow.
So in effect, coaching for me was a hobby. In other words, I took it that way, But when I got to San Miguel, iba na yun. I mean, of course, because of the Ibaceta, si Nono talked to me, the old man Ibaceta talked to me. Yeah, no. But the old man was the one who talked to me first. It's an old family from San Juan, which my father knew, and he came to me, and I said, okay. I mean, pero it was interesting. As I said, my exposure to corporate basketball.
Coach, you mentioned earlier that the UTEX stint was because of yung pagkakaibigan at dahil kliyente mo.
Kliyente, basically,
So,
kliyente.
How did it happen with Crispa? What was the incident that said, "Oy, can you join us here in Crispa?"
Well, I would be in Crispa once a week. catering, servicing them. And I got very close to Don Pablo, the old man. Really very, very close. Because when he heard my name, Manotoc, pinatawag kagad ako. Apparently, his first loan in PNB was PNB. When he got his first loan to build his factory, came from a Rufino Manotoc who was working in the PNB. So talagang pagdating ko dun, hindi ako naghihintay. Patatawagin kagad ako dyan, magkukwentuhan kami. So we got very, very close. And then next to him was Don Ernesto, no? The son, the elder son, then Danny, no? Danny was, I got to Danny later on, no? Because I was dealing more with Don Pablo and Don Ernesto. No? But we were very, very close. I mean, he treated me like a son, si Don Pablo. And those they were my easiest clients. hindi nagreklamo, hindi magko-quality claim sa cotton. So ang utang na loob ko doon is malaki talaga. Because part of the problem of selling a commodity, no, are the quality claims, no. So depende na yun sa usapan, no. So it was really helping the family, basically. It was not one person or two persons. It was helping the family who helped me so much.
Coach, the team that you inherited in Crispa was still a very good basketball team. And unlike your UTEX teams, ito yung sinasabi mo earlier na mga all-star, all the best players. But nevertheless, can you take us through that Grand Slam year, how you were able to get Billy Ray Bates? Ako, interesting question yan. NBA veteran, legit. Scoring double digits in the NBA, di ba? Can you take us through that, Coach?
Well, when I took over Crispa, I as usual, I get the boys together, I talk to them, what's my line, and I said, alam mo, magagaling kayong lahat, nanalo na kayo. Sayang lang kung siguro naman mananalo din tayo, pero mas maganda kung makaiwan tayo ng mensahe, no? If we can leave a message, no? That Crispa always used to win offensively, no? But if you can win defensively, improving our defense and giving basketball a message na pwede tayong dumipensa, no? So the first thing I did was I said, the same thing with UTEX is physical conditioning. No? Ngayon, I could not really hire a trainer and make them run. Alam mo, hindi makikinig yung mga yan. No? So ang challenge ko sa kanila, pa-practice tayo. First day of practice, ito ang gawin natin. Yung maitatakbo ko, kailangan itakbo ninyo. So doon kami sa somewhere in Green Hills yung gym doon. So lumabas kami sa gym, tumakbo ako. And I was still fit then, 30s pa lang ako. so tinakbo ko yung siguro mga 20 minutes, 25 minutes, tumatakbo talaga ako. Tatatlo yung nakasunod sa akin.
Coach, sino yun? Sino ba ngayon?
I don't want to mention names. Pero madaming sumuko, yung halfway pala sumusuko.
Wow.
So it was a tedious. It was not easy, you know. It was not easy. So konti-konti, hindi ko naman sila binigla, hindi ako kumuha ng trainer tsaka talagang. But I was lucky. I had a few guys who were actually in shape, no. I mean, I'll mention one, si Varela, basically. Yun, kasunod kagad yun. And tapos Kidabin was doing weights by himself. So I sort of put some structure into it. And I said, I want to win delivering a message, no, that Crispa is not only an offensive team, that we can also play defense. And I want the stats to show that. So in effect, so I put everybody in shape, and I said I'll be fielding 10 players in every game at least. So that at least yung hirap naman ng player, mahirap kung training ka ng training, hindi ka naglalaro, hindi mo mabubuhisit lang sa yung player. So I said automatic yan. 8 minutes, kung hindi maganda ang laro mo, may susunod sa'yo na nagbigay din ng pawis, no? Naghirap din sa ensayo na dapat pagbigyan natin. Dahil nakakahiya naman. Dahil first team ka, I would always start with my first team in Crispa, no? Na you will hug the limelight. Even hindi masyado maganda ang laro mo. Kawawa naman doon isa training, hindi mo ano. This is where the Padim Israel, the Cristobals, the Villamins came in and really won Moncruz, I remember,
Yes.
really won us a lot of games. No,
That's true. That's true.
won us a lot of games. Of course, the
So-
championship will not be won without Itoco, Philip Cesar, Kidam, and Fabiosa, and then Balde. No? But still, that second team of mine in Crispo was something that I was also proud of.
Yeah.
Because
That's
as I said, we would win a lot of games. Even Lim and Meng was there, Fritz was there, but I had those up and coming players who really trained harder than most of the first stringers. No? So it was my duty as a coach to give them the chance. No? And they shown, because they did show. It's Padim, Yoyoy, Moncruz, and all that. So magandang.
Coach, ano magandang kwento dun sa Grand Slam year nyo na hindi alam ng tao na pwedeng ikwento? A good story, a good anecdote, you know?
Well, the Grand Slam was really also Billy Ray Bates at this point in time. No? Yun, madami talagang kwento yun. Kailangan i-censor ko yung konti.
Kung pwede mong ikwento, Coach, ano yung magandang kwento? Paano mo nakuha si Bates, Coach?
No, actually, the story of Billy Ray Bates is a bit, nung nasa UTEX pa ako noon. So when I actually went to scout for imports, I would always pass by Hawaii, to break the trip. I loved Hawaii to begin with. I don't mind passing Hawaii for 2-3 days. And then one of my trips on the way back, 2-day stopover, nagbabasa ako ng dyaryo, nakita ko may basketball game sa Blaisdell. So pinuntahan ko. Alam mo naman tayo, basketball, basta may basketball game. Pinuntahan ko, nakita ko. I mean, I watched. So doon ko nakita si Billy Ray Bates. And, you cannot but enjoy the talent, the athletic ability of this person. When you see him, only maski na 7-8 minutes lang, makita mo lang kumilos. And of course, nag-NBA yan no? So,
yes, Portland
NBA. And so when I got to Crispa, I told Mr. Danny, sir, hanapin niyo si Billy Ray Bates. Pag nakuha natin yan, hindi tayo matatalo. I thought, alam mo naman si Mr. Danny, latir. He broke. He was the one who did it. I don't know. All of a sudden, he's telling, darating na. So, and but of course, we knew his history. No, we all know his history by now. No,
yes, of course.
And it's the problems that go with fame. No, that he did. He made the NBA, but he had some problems which he carried through, which we knew about. And we personally experienced that. No, in that sense. So we had to give him a security to make sure, not for his good, but for him not to get away, especially the day before the game, things like that, And Mr. Danny made sure of that, no. So we had. It was not easy. No? But as far as ability, and to me, the most important thing is the will to win. There were games during Crispa that you could see. He will just look at me, and I will look at him. And I say, okay, all yours. In other words, siya na lang. That's why, parang I gave him the authority to do everything. No? That's why he would score 50, 60 points. No? Because pag nakita niyang hindi maganda ang laro ng mga kasama niya, sige na, siya na lang. In other words, I remember the first game he played, he had 50 points or something, 50 or 60 points. But he was a winner. It's rare that you will find a player like that who really wanted to win at all costs. Really give it all he's got. No? For an import. That's
right. Just a few more crisp questions before we take some questions from the media, and then we talk about golf. There's a question here. It says, how does it feel to be a Grand Slam coach? Because that sets you apart from other coaches. How do you feel about that, Coach Tommy?
It was not my dream. As I said, I stumbled into coaching, and winning was a byproduct to me always of hard work, no, and leaving a message, leaving something behind for other people to absorb, no? And other people to follow, no? And that was always my ulterior motive there, no? That physical conditioning, defense. You cannot have defense without physical conditioning, basically. No? At that time, we had no defense because we had no physical conditioning. No? So that's what I wanted to leave. And if I could prove that Crispa could do it offensively and defensively, it would sort of move the ball to a different direction as far as Philippine basketball was concerned.
Mhm.
And as I said, winning was just accidental. Of course, it's nice, but it was not my motive. My motive was to actually put them in better shape. Because I said, mas hahaba ang karir ninyo. Of course, pwede para tayo mag-inuman after the game. Philip Jasser and I would have our beers, and all that. So I mean, Philip could not sleep without having his beers, no. So I mean, that's part and parcel of everything, no. But conditioning should be part of it, no? In other words.
Coach, no imports for this one. If you could choose your starting five for all your teams, and I know that's going to be very tough, sino pipiliin mo? Isasabak mo, kumbaga all-star team mo yan, Coach.
Sa coach, the teams that I coached.
Yeah, the teams that you coached, from UTEX to San Miguel to Crispa. Ihalo mo na lahat yung player mo. Sino starting guard mo, point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center. No imports.
Mahirap yan.
Ah.
Hindi madali. Center, of course, you have to go with Cesar, no? or Kidaben. I don't know who played center then, one or the other.
Abet.
So those two top men, no? Nandiyan yan. Mahihirapan ka sa Guardia. Of course, Atoy ko, the shooting. So mostly will come from Crispa, no? But point guard, I had a very good point guard in San Miguel that really helped us a lot. His career was a bit short, but I don't know if you remember Marte Saldana.
Yes.
Very, very heady. Understood all the plays that I wanted to run. Understood by sign language to Lobo and to Dasalia how to move, what the defense was giving us. Though he really na-injured yan, na-injured ng tuhod and all that. But it's hard for me to put him there, but it's an honorable mention. In other words, no. Of course, Limembeng, Biosa. I mean, Ato, of course, stands out as a shooting guard. With very, very, how can you not put him there? No?
That's right. That's right.
So, of course, Boggs for his longevity. How can you not consider Boggs after his career? As far as that is concerned. But it was a pleasure for me, to have rubbed elbows and coach exchange ideas with such talented and fantastic individuals. Basically.
That's right. This question is jumping a bit forward. It's from Anthony Cervino. Coach, I attended and supported your rally at NAS. Do you think the college recruiting system has changed for the better ever since that fateful day? I don't know what NAS is, but Coach, take it away, please.
Do you think, what's the question? Do you think that the college recruitment
has changed for the better ever since that day?
I know what he's referring to.
Okay.
You
don't have we can,
Well, I think collegiate basketball has gone to another level now. I would actually put it now. It's not as high as the corporate basketball we have, but it has become. It has become.
Battle of the Tycoons, no?
Exact. A battle of already there. It's there already, It's there, And now we'll probably try to build one in UP, UST, or something like that.
So UP have the Gokong ways, di ba?
Yeah. So, but I would like to think that it was a message to basketball that college basketball should not be winning at all costs. At that point, it should not be. You are educating people, and part of your commitment as a school is to educate and to give values. To give values. If you will cheat exam papers and cheat government exams, you are not giving values to these people. You're defeating the purpose of people who go to college. To get an education and to get values that the school would give. So that's sort of where I was coming from. I don't know how it is today. I'm not involved, but I knew some things before that were really, really, really questionable, which would not have happened during my day. And hopefully, I had to be a voice, no?
Right.
Because kokonting magsasalita. But I researched on it. I went very, very deep, talked to the players involved, talked to the father involved before I actually did it. No? And I felt that maybe I'm the only one who can do this. No? And I got a lot of calls congratulating me, mostly from Ateneans, of course. So, because most of my friends then were from Ateneo.
All right. Coach, we have another question from another media person, si Ivan Stewart Saldahenyo. Unbiased, how would you rank the 4 Grand Slam teams? 76 Crispa, 83 Crispa, 96 Alaska, and 2014 Pure Foods. I'm not sure if you're able to follow the game, the PBA lately, but kaya ba, Coach? Can you answer his question?
How would I rank them?
Oh,
As far as
the best Grand Slam team ever.
Alam mo, ibang generation na eh. Even the type of, even the type of player, the type of coaching was already very different, when you talk of course, Tim Cohn, he's in a different class. You talk of Norman Black, he's in a different class. I mean, we can talk about Norman because he was my player, so it would not not be fair, to compare generations, with the styles, as far as talent is concerned, of course, the talent's there, but iba na rin yung talent ngayon, the physical ability, the talent of the players have. So it's not fair to compare, and to say one is better than the other. I think they should all stand among their times, as delivered the goods, as a rarity, and make it stand on their own rather than starting to compare. It's like in golf I would compare Ben Hogan to Tiger Woods. Malayo, maybe in the same era you can compare Jack Nicklaus to Tiger Woods, the same generation. But you cannot go way back in time where the clubs were different, training methods were different, and try to compare which is better than the other. So makakalusot ako doon sa question niyon.
Galing sumagot.
Well, tama nga naman,
Mahirap.
With that, there's this question about golf. So this should thrill Coach Tommy also. At what point did you decide that okay, it's time to focus on golf? Yan, magandang tanong yan, Coach.
Yung third year college, as I said, all along my golf was a summer sport, every time out of school, because golf was never part of school. Of course, we had the interscholastic then, one tournament a year. And I remember they would pick the top 4 players in the school. And I was actually grade 7. And I competed with college people. I was part of the top 4, that played for LaSalle in the interscholastic, Because I was like the child prodigy of golf in the beginning. I would win all my junior matches, 8, 9, 10. And at 14, I won the Junior Amateur Championship of the Philippines, playing against 21-year-olds. So I developed my golf very, very early. That I was really very, very good, and I had the my record in golf is hard to beat. We won mostly a lot of Southeast Asian games. We were number 1 in Southeast Asia for a long, long time. Not only because of me, but because of the great Golem Surveyor, our greatest amateur, that I was very happy to be with. He taught me a lot also, and I was the sort of the number two man of the team. But it's golf was always my sport. It is what I wanted to be known for and what I wanted to leave behind. Which I further did later on in my life. And basketball was a very strong second, basically. And other sports, I played when I was in college. I played volleyball, softball, everything, NCAA. Because nung araw nga may NROTC, pag nasa sport ka, hindi ka papasok ng Sabado, hindi ka pagugupit, ano? So you had to play all these sports. So my first year my first 2 years in college, I was in the softball team, volleyball team, everything. I joined all the NCAA team, softball team. Even for high school, I was in the softball team. So I played all the sports basically. Sports was my life. It was not studies. In other words, nagpapasang-aw. But I went to school to play sports.
Coach, may magandang tanong dito. Pero ayaw niyang bigay pangalan niya. Anonymous na lang daw siya. Tawagin na lang siyang Mr. Anonymous. Coach, since you still play golf, and I presume that you watched that charity game with Tiger, Nicholson, sila Peyton Manning, and Tom Brady to raise funds for COVID. When you return, would you like to do the same for our country? Yan.
Of course, anything I can do for the game, for our country, as I said, which I actually did for golf. I set up when I came back in the 90s, I set up a foundation, a golf foundation, and I helped our less fortunate people, the caddies. I got Tony Boy Cowanco gave me the Calatagan job, and I took it, to surprise of so many people to live in the province in the 90s. And the part of my deal was that I want to set up a foundation and bring the best caddies all over the Philippines and house them there, train them, teach them. I would teach them everything I know about the game and be able to do it. And buti na lang, thanks to Tony Boy and the Sobels, they allowed me. And I was very close then to first gentleman, si Mike Arroyo, because we grew up together. Basically, he was very good friends with my brother, and Ben Abalos, the president of Aquac then. And I sort of, when I gave them the idea, so they really liked it, and I got total support. And we would hold qualifying tournaments for only caddies. Only caddies.
Wow.
Only caddies. You had to be a registered caddy of a certain club.
How did it turn out, Coach?
It turned out very, very well. The first year we would get about 4 or 5 guys. Then I would house them, feed them, pay them, so that they can send the money back to their families. And this all they did was play golf. But under strict, parang basketball team. In other words, may training kami, may running. I mean, systematized. Hindi lang yung laro ng laro. So it came out very well. After a few years, these guys, of course, they're very talented people. They got to play in the Philippine team.
Right.
And they actually won honors for our country, which was very gratifying for me. And then I joined the board of the NJP. So under the late Larry Mendoza, I took care of the national team because they were mostly my guys, coming from my program, basically.
Right.
And as I said, anything to give back to the game, for charity, for golf, whatever. I mean, I would be more than willing with everything to give back. That's been my life for golf, is to give back. I think in sports, as a sports leader, you should look at it as giving back to the sport. It is not what you can get from the sport; it's what you can give back to the sport. It is not, most of the benefits, but you have to be able to uplift, basically, and to help the athlete. It should start with the NSA. In other words, we should not keep looking at elsewhere. It should start with our own leaders of the sports, to be able to give back. It's not what you can get; it's what you can give, and you should give, basically.
That's right. You're watching Phil Oil Flying V Sports Usapang Basketball with Coach Tommy Manotoc. We're down to our last 15 minutes.
Coach, meron din akong i-add sana, ha? Sige lang. Coach, papatulong din kami sa iyo, yung mga coaches, kasi for such a long time walang parang coaches, kasi may players union ng PBA, di ba? Ang coaches wala eh. So yung mga assistant coaches or mga nawawala ng trabaho, wala tayong to fall back on. So it's something that I will discuss with you pagka nandito ka, coach.
But I feel you, pare. I feel you. As a matter of fact, if you read one of my columns, I mentioned something. Try to be very diplomatic.
Yes.
If you remember what I wrote, I was trying to be very diplomatic. But, I feel for our coaches. I really do.
Yes.
I mean, I don't want to say I came from there, but I've been there.
Yes,
I know what you guys are going through. I know more or less the road is so bumpy. Mahirap talaga. Now that we've even of course the rewards are very good, no? But the roads are very bumpy. Even the place of learning, even the UAP now has become so competitive that you're always on the line. You're always on the line. So I feel for you guys. I really feel so. Anything that I can do to uplift, without stepping on toes. That's the only problem.
Yes, of course.
I would be.
I've spoken naman to a few stakeholders and they're very willing naman to So maganda naman. And yun, of course, we'll set up a meeting with you to discuss. Thank you so much, Coach.
Salamat din. My pleasure.
Coach, there's a question here. Since you play golf all over the world, what is your best experience playing with a well-known golfer and what happened? Yeah.
It's funny because my total first experience playing with, if you go with the word playing with, I played with Phil Mickelson.
Wow.
Very few people know.
Wow.
Pero ang kasama ko noon, matatawa ka pa kung lalo na, si Lito Takuhan, si
editor ko rin yan.
I think it was Ding Marcelo.
Of Bulletin.
Yeah. Top sports writers. Because when I got back, I sort of became a sort of a commissioner of the pro golf. And I put up pro golf tournaments. And one of my projects was the Toyota match play.
Yes.
I don't know if you
I remember. Yes.
You remember, okay? And Alfred T, who was a crazy golfer, we got very close, and I said, I'll make this tournament for you. Sige. And he said, if you can get me Frankie Minosa, bilib ako sa'yo. So little did he know that I knew Frankie very well. No, I mean, the first time Frankie Minosa came to Manila to play in Wakwak, it so happened he was paired with me, and we got along so well. And I've always had this thing to connect with the less fortunate people, and I always give them my time of day, in other words, and I will try to help as much as I can within limitations, of course, and we were together in the Philippine team. We got very, very close. Very few people knew that. And when I went to Frankie and said, "Partner, ginagawa ko tong Toyota match play. Magkano bang gusto mo?" Willing naman sila magbayad. Sabi niya, "Pare, hindi na bale. Bigay mo na lang yung pera doon sa pot. I will play for free." And I was able to get Wakwak. I got Wakwak to do the match play, thanks to Abalos. And Alfred was very, very, alam mo naman, nagulat siya, that I was able to pull the tournament out and all that. And in for that, he took me, all the sports editors, to London, and we played. He got a slot to play the pro-am with Mickelson. Wow, that was really a wow. To see him for 18 holes. Tsaka pinakita sa akin yung mga trick shot niya, yung pabaliktad. So it was, my next dream would be Tiger Woods, but I doubt if I'll ever achieve that anymore. But to have Phil Mickelson and play with him for 18 holes or 4 hours, together with his caddy.
Binigyan mo ba ng partida, Coach, sa 2-2?
Hindi naman. Pero loko lang ito si Alfred because linista niya ako sa handicap 6. Pagpalo ko to sa first hole, tinignan ako nung caddy, you're not a 6, man. Gusto niyang manalo ng pro-am eh. Alam mo yung mga caddy niya, magaling yung mga caddy eh. Tinignan ako,
Di totoo.
you're not a 6, man. Saka may gallery kami noon eh. By the time we got to the fourth hole, yung mismo mga gallery, you're not a 6, man.
Grabe.
Pati.
That's in London.
Wow.
Yan ang mga experiences in golf na it's hard to forget.
Oh.
So thanks to Alfred P, of course, that he gifted us because he was so happy with what we did, no? The press that he got for the tournament, and I was able to get Frankie to play, and he even went to the awarding. Doon sa awarding, nung dumating si Frankie, he didn't win, huh? Frankie did not win, but I didn't even ask him to go, but he showed up in the awarding ceremony. And amazing, and he came to me. So, but hindi mo ko inimbita. Hindi naman kita inaano ako. You've done enough. Hindi. Para sa, and he was doing it for the pros, in effect. Para sa mga pro natin, gagawin ko. And it's done, Frankie is very quiet, no? I would say more shy. But kung pwede siyang tumulong, tutulong si Frankie. If you approach him the right way, the right manner, he will help. He did at that point in time, which was very crucial.
Here's a question here, Coach. What do you think of seeing the younger golfers, Filipino golfers today? Who do you think has a bright future? Yeah.
Sa female dapat tayo.
Sige lang, Coach. Sige lang. That's fine.
It's typical of any sport, no? That golf is more complex. Actually, that's the problem. But the only thing going for us in golf, it's an individual sport, no? And it can be a family, it can be a corporate, it can be. When I was head of the NJP, that's what I tried to do. I tried to get corporate involvement, no? And though our future looks dim now because golf has really boomed all over the world. Ang gagaling na talaga ng mga player. I mean, I'm not even talking of American players. I'm talking of South Koreans. I'm talking of the Thais, you know, talagang masakit, no? Masakit sa akin na naiwanan na tayo, no? Their programs have totally succeeded while others we keep floundering, no? And I wanted to try to do it when I was president of the NJP, I tried to do it. I said the only way we can do this is to go to the arena, which is America, no? Which is the development stage, no? Which is you will be able to study and play golf at the same time. Because I've always believed that golf is a very complex game. Hindi pwedeng golf ka lang ng golf. Kailangan may utak ka. Yes. Kailangan may diskarte ka. Kailangan marunong kang makisama sa tao. Kailangan, it's a very complex sport, you know, that pag ininis ka ng tao, maiinis ka, wala na, no? You must be able to go through all that adjustment, you know. And to me, the only way you can do that is really, sorry to say, is to come here to the States and play college golf, no? Because that is the stepping stone that will develop you, not only your game, but it will develop you as a person, your maturity, to get away from your parents, to get away from our Filipino loving broods, you know, that dito mag-isa ka talagang sariling kayod ka, no, when you go on a especially if you go on a golf scholarship. And that would be the only way.
That's right. We're down to our last few minutes with Coach Tommy. There's a question here from one of your Atenean friends. You are half your family are Lasallans while your other half like sila Tama ba? Is this right? You're related to Raul Manglapos, the late Raul Manglapos? Is that right, Coach?
Yeah.
What was it like during family reunions?
Actually, my family background is very mixed. Talagang my mother had my mother is the eldest of 4 sisters. So she married the MANOTOC. The other one was married to Manglapos. And Velasquez. and Lopez, Henny Lopez.
Oh,
So uh,
reunions must be interesting.
reunions were purely Ateneans, and we actually grew up together. We grew up together with all the Manglaposes. I was just talking to Toby Manglapos now, the one of the eldest. As a matter of fact, he's also here in the States now. So we all grew up together, and family is family. The material of where you went to school or whatever. No, so in that sense, as I said, most of my friends were Ateneans. Parati akong linalasing ng mga Ateneo friends ko pagka sa Ateneo. Lalabas kami sa gabi. Lalo na nung ginawa kong starting five ni Tuto Eduque, basta sa Ateneo, natatawag na sa bahay, let's go out. So I was really very, very open as far as that's concerned. Not pabiro lang naman yung mga lasal-lasal ko sa Ateneo. It's really more of it's more of fun at the end of the day.
That's right. We have one last question before we let Coach Tommy go. Do you continue to follow Philippine national team basketball? And do you like where we are headed considering the 2023 FIBA World Cup? Yan.
Mabigat na masyado yan, pare.
Pwede pass wala.
I've had my views. I think I wrote that also a little bit.
Yes, you did.
And
ito na lang, Coach. We'll sub that since you're on the record for that.
Yeah.
Ito, mas maganda siguro to because we didn't touch on this. Your being a columnist, how does it feel that from being a player to a coach to a sports leader, then you're also a columnist? Yan, para sa mga kasama natin mga sports writers.
I've always loved sports writers. Mga kabarkada ko panahon pa ni Danny Floro yan. Puro sports writers yan. Tinuruan namin si Ray Bangkod mag-golf. And golf was, because of Danny Floro kasi, golf became a medium of meeting, rather than inuman or whatever bago mapunta sa gulo. Golf ang meeting place namin, So napalapit ako sa karamihan ng mga sports writers natin. Of course, Lito Tocohan is a Kanlubang boy. I grew up playing for Kanlubang. So, I felt very comfortable, in other words. And I felt that joining the ranks was not barging in, was sort of contribute my little way, of how they would do it. And the funny thing is, some people would really come to me with ideas and say, pare, pakisulat mo lang ito dahil ikaw lang makakasulat nito. So I felt that it sort of gave me the impetus to continue, whether it's my message or their message, but pag-uusapan namin and something that I still plan to continue, hopefully, God willing, I have more time, and to be part of this group, of the mga bata na ngayon siguro mga iba yan. But the Bing Marcelos, which I have total respect for, from the Tony Sidayaos, which I knew very well, and now down the line, So.
But Coach, do you like being on that perch that you're as a senior sportsman in this country? Do you like being on that perch that you're able to say this without fear, but considering what you've achieved, not only in basketball but also in golf, do you enjoy that, Coach?
It's nice because you sort of come a bit more authoritative and people listen to you, in that sense, but I know it bears a heavy responsibility, so that's why there are some things that I try to do more diplomatically than I would, but it's a privilege. Let's put it that way. It's a privilege for me to have been in all that categories, no? From a player to a manager to a coach. I helped run the PBA for a while, and now I'm sort of looking in, from the outside looking in, and being able to say things that other sports writers probably know but don't want to say anything about, or are worry of things, no. But it's a privilege for me to be able to say it, no, in a manner that it will be more revealing, no, and hopefully moving forward.
Sir Joey, Coach Ariel, do we have any more questions for Coach Tommy?
Ako, okay na ako. Marami ako natutunan ngayong hapon na to.
Masarap kasi yung dinner ko. Medyo lumabas lahat eh.
Oo, galing. Thank you so much, Coach Tommy, sa lahat ng ano.
Coach, I hope that when you return, when you're able to get the flight back home, that we can maybe do that golf thing for our COVID response. No?
Sige, sana may malakas sa inyo sa PAL. Parinigan ninyo, kailangan makabalik na ako.
Kilala tayo nun, parinigan natin yan. So for Coach,
hindi ko sa flight before you para makakita na lang tayo sa kasi baka mainip ka sa akin eh. Nakakaya si Oliver na lang ka-flight po. Kaming dalawa niya. Dalawa ni boss team.
Alam mo pare, coach, that's one thing about golf. It's not like tennis, no? That kailangan kapeso mo yung kalaro mo, no? Sa golf, I mean, it's a sport for all ages, all types, all ano. I mean, I enjoy playing with young children. I enjoy playing with older people, with girls, because it doesn't affect you naman eh. In that sense,
alam ko na, coach, best ball tayo magkakampi. At least tayo dalawa. Okay. So set ka na. Uwi ka na, coach.
Bahala ka sa PAL.
Coach Tommy.
All right.
Coach
Salamat,
Tommy,
coach.
Coach Tommy, any final words to the people watching this, even our frontliners? Any final parting messages, Coach?
Well, as I've been very reclusive, no. As a matter of fact, some of my kids texted me, "Amazing, you're going to do the interview."
Thank you.
TJ started to put it on we have our own little group, and so some of my kids were surprised that I was doing it. But
it's an honor. Thank you.
I think you sort of hit me when you said maybe it's time, coach. No? Maybe it's time that people will hear you. No, I'm 70 now, turning 71. No, and I've been blessed to be able to recover from my health issues, which were not good in the 60s. No,
yes,
and I've been able to. I don't know how long I will really have. Not only being around, but being intelligent and being able to remember things in the past to be able to give back, no, and hopefully I still can for the next few years, no, and be able to inspire our sporting leaders, our sports athletes, in more ways than one, to be able to make them reach and understand what the intricacies of sports is all about.
Right. For those watching, prior to this web interview discussion with Coach Tommy, I respectfully recommended to Coach Tommy, since he's a man that I admire, and TJ is a very dear colleague. I respect TJ's incredible journalist, broadcast journalist, no? And I intimated to Coach Tommy that maybe it's about time, not only for this interview, that be a start of a book, because the man has been around and has had incredible experiences that should be shared. And that's why we had to touch on his being a columnist. We feel that it's very, very important also to the mix, because here is a man who not only competed, but he also writes. And I think that is something precious, something that it should be treasured. And hopefully that will materialize, because we don't have enough books about our sports heroes, our coaches. Right?
Yes.
Helping write the book for Baby Dalupan was not only an honor, but it's good that we celebrate the man. And I feel that here is another man who also should be celebrated for his views and his contributions to Philippine sports, basketball and golf to be very particular. So Coach, maraming salamat for your time. I totally appreciate this. We'll be talking again, and I know that Coach Ariel will be talking to you also about
Of
again.
course. Thank you.
So sa mga nanonood dati, mga kasamahan sa media, sila Boyet Season, nanonood dyan, and the others, sila Ignacio D, Bert Ramirez, nanonood. I hope that Sir Lito Takuhan, I know he's retired, I hope he's watching this. Sir Lito, maraming salamat po sa mga editors natin dyan, sa mga sports writers na nanonood. Coach Tommy, maraming salamat. I hope your family is well and safe, and I hope to see you soon. For Phil Oil Flying V Sports, Coach Ariel Vanguardia, Joy Guillermo, Rick Olivares, nagpapasalamat. Magandang gabi, magandang hapon sa inyo lahat. Coach, thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
Salamat din. Pleasure. My pleasure. Nice to see you guys.
Nice to see you, Coach.
We'll see you soon, Coach. Bye-bye. Good night. Good night, Coach.
Good night. Good afternoon, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.